okay, whoa, dude, like chill, it like democracy, or you're just going to tell me what to do. Screw the democracy, of course it's not. So I was thinking to make a post around this, but I'm reluctant. Does that sound like a good idea even in theory, or shall I not go that way and stick to the marketing thing?
Good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon, crew.
Hey, Grove, welcome.
Thank you.
We just got started. Anna jumped in. Um, funny. It was first thing I'll say is recapping your wins there really quick was nice, and I would encourage you all to leverage those. There's like, I don't know, 10 good reasons to leverage your wins. I don't know if I can get to 10, but one is it's good for you to remind yourself that you're making progress. You know what I mean? I mean, it sounds silly, but like doing this in content will be part of your timeline, right? Like when you go back, these will be demarcations, inflection points potentially, and things that you can look back on. So it's like, remind yourself, number one. Number two, it lets your audience know a bunch of things. There's like sub bullets to number two, right? Where it's like, they know that you're showing up doing the work. They know that you're ahead of them for the people who you are ahead of when you start talking about certain things. It establishes like credibility, authority, all that stuff. So I think that's great. I think everybody loves behind the scenes, and the people who are following you in any way want to see you succeed. So there's that too. I just think there's a lot of really positive things that can come from it. So it was cool to hear. I mean, I saw your stuff in the heartbeat, rolling through, and man, those things like stack up. I guess that's, I don't know, one of my bullets too, is like they tend to like, thinking of them as stacks of, I think of them as like input stacks to a bigger output. And that might not be the best like way to explain it for you all, but I like when I write about these things, I feel like you're constantly trying to build this picture that you don't really know how it ends, but you're going somewhere, and all these things that are today become your base, and eventually, it's constantly growing. The base gets wider, and anyway, that's just it's one of those things that I didn't do very well early on because I was modest, right? Like humble, and I basically grew up with humility first, right? Like that was
You
the most important thing.
and you joined the Air Force?
I saw the look on your face. I was like, what did I set him up for? Yeah, funny. So funny. But talking about myself, I was super uncomfortable with that. And I'd say that there's still some discomfort in a way, but I can do it in writing for marketing much better now than I used to be able to. And I just, in case that's a subject for anyone, just let it go as soon as you can, as much as you can. It's not bragging if it's true, and I always put the mentality around it is, it's more of an exposition than it is a, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. And I think, I do think you want to distinguish between that. If you're just like, throwing numbers around all the time and like, I'm just, kicking ass and taking names, like some people won't like that. But it could also be a segue to your polarization thing on which I'll come to in 1 second. But I just think mostly I think of it as a behind the scenes, this is me on my journey. And I've seen so many people, actually not so many, but I've seen many people do this really well, and I always resonate with them. Even if I don't really like their business model or even their content exactly, I always like and appreciate it when people show me what's going on in their world behind the scenes. So I'll get off my soapbox, but capture those wins as often as you can. Like you cut out a little bit on us, so I didn't totally get the details of how you were thinking of posting, but I think about this a lot, and I will encourage you all to do the same. Whether you start with the overview and give the details afterwards, or give details and end with an overview. I think you said 3 wins. And to me, that could be 4 posts, and probably should be. Like, you can do like an overview, say, hey, this was what happened. Actually, I personally would probably do it the other way. I'd pick one of them, and I'd pick the smallest one to start. I'd say, oh, here's what happened. Here's how I got. I forgot what you said. You had the coaching client. What were the other 2?
Yeah, I was thinking that the first one to state that I finished the geography projects for my kids because this is for the family, and
Not just
then
me.
it's a little bit of warming up. And then the second one, how Blake praised me for 2 sales, and I have a screenshot.
Yep.
And the third one, how I signed up my first coaching class.
Yep. And I know you did some post on the geography project already, I remember. But either way, like the way I would think about that then is probably exactly in that order. I'd do the geography one, I'd make that an interesting story. I'd do the 2 sales, make that an interesting story. And then I'd do coaching client. And that seems like it could be a really interesting story, and probably the one you really want to take people on most. And then at the end of the week, you know, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but I probably would then do a recap. Hey, just reflecting on my week. These little, you could watch this recording and parent what I just said earlier. It's like stacking up your wins. Like I look back on this and I'm like, wow, I've had a really good couple weeks, and it's not just a result of, you know, these couple weeks. It's a result of all the work I put in for the month before, or whatever it is, however you want to think about it. But I think that's always a good story that you can use with people. So that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
It does, yes.
Okay, thanks for the encouragement.
Sure. I'll jump to the polarizing thing real quick. And I think what I would say there is, yes, do it. And you'll have to find your way with it. You can only learn this by trying. I tend, like, I would say my polarizingness, whenever I go for polarizing content, I'd say it's still generally couched in agreeableness, which is not how everybody does it. And I'm not remotely saying it's the best way. You know, Ben Settle.
No, this is exactly what I was aiming for. You know, I was actually hoping you'd say that, because sometimes I just see the posts that really like annoy me. It's like, dude, it's too much, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about you'll have to find your
yeah, to be generally agreeable.
Yeah, and that's hard. It's a hard balance. There's no formula for that one that I could give you, right? It's what level of comfort you are with being pushy and antagonistic and whatever. What I usually try to do is attack like a thing, a process, and never a person. Like that's just not going to be me. There are people out there who do it, and some actually do it well, like respectfully. Still, I'm not in a place where I want to make enemies right now. And the funny thing is, a lot of people are like, if you don't have enemies, you're not playing big enough. Which, you know, to each their own, right? Like for some people that works, and like I said, I can respect it. It's just not for me personally. So what you do is figure out how you want to attack the thing, figure out how far you want to push, and how, you know, because the point of polarization really is, you know, it goes back to that content principle that I have, where the number one purpose is really to elicit an emotional response, right? Like that's what I think of as the simplest way to, the simplest objective of your content is to get an emotional response from people. And so polarization, you know, is actually kind of important. If you're just always agreeable and the world is, you know, fine, nobody's going to be motivated by that in any way. So I think looking into polarization is good. You just got to decide how you want to do it. I feel like I could keep saying the same things over and over, but hopefully.
Can I make a comment?
Sure, yeah. Go on.
I would venture to say that it, be as polarizing as you are, naturally, because if you're because it keeps you from pretending to be somebody else, right? You've got your opinion on something, then that's your opinion. And you know what? The people that don't respect or don't relate to that opinion, the upside to it is you'll get some activity off of it. If they even, uh if they don't sorry
Like a negative publicity,
yeah, even negative publicity
they
is
start
publicity,
talking against it. Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And there's in my previous group, one lady, that was her thing, man. I mean, she sought out any kind of, I mean, she was very, this is how I think, this is what I believe, blah blah blah, to hell with you if you're not cool with it. And just shy of saying the last line that I just said. And it seems to work for her, because out of the one or two haters, there's a couple hundred supporters, right? And the haters stir up enough enough activity and publicity that it gets shared, right? They're like, hey, they share her posts, and it's like, hey, check this out. And they may think that they're sharing it with somebody that shares their opinion, and maybe not. It's just, I guess I shouldn't drag on this, but what I was trying to say is, if it's genuine to you, roll with it. But I wouldn't recommend um, that you be brash and rash just to stir up controversy.
Yeah. Something, Darren, I think it's really good feedback. I mean, it's funny. Like I always come up with the one thing, right? There's always one thing, and now I've got 50 things. But emotional response is good, especially when it comes from an authentic place. Like those two things go together. And I was just thinking when Darren was talking, a lot of times writing advice is right, like you're speaking to some one person as opposed to this mass audience. And I would say, in terms of polarization, right, like you're speaking to a friend, not your best friend, not your closest confidant, who you might say things that you wouldn't always want in print, but a friend. Like, be that polarizing. If you're fired up, like I'm kind of getting fired up here about emotional response and authenticity, like that kind of energy comes through, I think, for people, and that's all they want. Is it's such a weird thing. I feel like when I was a youngster, I would have never believed this or understood it, but people really want to know the real you. They want to know that you're real, and they want to know the real you. And not everybody on the planet wants to know the real you, but the people who do really want to know. So
Yeah.
Probably because
Yeah.
if you say the people that want to because people they get misled or lied to so many times, so frequently, or given the wrong advice. Let me just give it to as an example. If I'm just going to use myself. I didn't know anything about electricity, what watts and all that, and how many watts and I had to learn very quickly in the last 2 or 3 weeks, because I went out and bought a battery with a 12-volt battery with the inverter, and I'd start using the thing, and it runs down, and I couldn't understand what was the reason for that, and I bought another all compact one, this EcoFlow River, and it charges up in an hour, and it's got you can see the load and everything. And then I just got the idea, and because initially when I wanted to buy the battery, I went to the battery shop and said to the guy, I want something for my router, for my Wi-Fi router. That's all I want. And then just went and sold this like $400 battery system to me. and I knew it's overkill, but I didn't know anything, and I trusted the guy, and I trusted the guy, and I found something else that's costing, I think it's about $60, and it does exactly the same thing, and two people in, because I live in a very small rural town, and there's two battery shops, and both battery shops sold the same thing to me, but I just, and I showed it to the guy at the battery shop, and he, he just like brushed it off, and I thought, okay, yeah, I'm not trusting these guys again. I'm not buying from them again. So even now, I'm thinking of buying something, and I could go to their shop, but that's why I just say people get lied to so many times, and yeah, that it's almost difficult. I mean, you have to be selective about who you trust, and that's why people can. That's the no like and trust factor. Yeah.
100%.
Okay, that's just my middle tangent thing there.
Yeah, no, I mean it's good. I think once you have some experience with this, when you reflect back, to me the one word that sums up no like and trust is authenticity, and those three words are fine. It's just like the easiest way to do it is by being you, letting the people who aren't interested in you fall off, and the people who are attracted to you come your way. And yeah, I mean it's
like
story you told.
It's like
Unfortunately, as old as time.
Yeah, just like you say now. I'm walking here from outside, and I've got my. I just say in my video, this is what I am. I'm wearing my baseball cap, or whatever you call my baseball cap, and I've got and I'm not dressed in a suit, and this is it. This is what you're going to get if in the videos, and as long as that's with it comes with authenticity. People feel that they know you, they associate you. They see you. They see them in you in the videos, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. So I guess I'd be interested. We could go either way. I have a feeling I know which way you'll go if you pick one. But do you have any like content concerns right now? Like you're not doing it for some reason, or it's not working the way you want for some reason, or whatever. Like, I mean, basically, what's the number one challenge or the number one thing that like you've learned positively in the last few weeks that is working?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead. I see you're a master, Anna. I'm watching you.
I'm not a master.
You're
I
doing
just
great.
prepared for this question.
You're doing very well. You're doing great.
No, basically, started asking for Todd's help. It's been a fabulous improvement. I noticed it myself because I always take notes of everything he says. So even the small detail, because Todd is a man of detail, so he is very thorough with giving the feedback.
I just wanted to
From
say
the word count. Grove, sorry, did you want to say something? Because I didn't.
no, I just wanted to say thank you to Todd for sending me the loom, the message that he sent me. So it was thank you very much for that.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. That's why I'm here. I enjoy it, and thanks Anna as well. I think it's good. It's good to hear. I'm trying to balance now. I the detail comment made me laugh because some of my feedback sessions have been getting long, which is kind of fun for me. But I realize on your side, you all have many other activities to address, and so I'm trying to balance, the detail with the length.
No, but for us it's fine. I mean, honestly, I don't mind if I get a 30-minute feedback. I'm grateful. It because I just do the blah blah blah. You will actually think about everything you say, about every input. So whatever you say is very well thought through, and it's not there just for the say, building up time and telling Blake there, I gave 30 minutes feedback. It's actually, relevant and it's important. So for me, basically, the longer the better. So don't cut. It's awesome. And starting from the number of words in the actual post, the use of this Hemingway application, 50 words, and then the structure, and then encouraging me to pay more attention to certain specific things that I was kind of flying over before.
Cool.
I come thing and I think, okay, done. But then you bring me back to it and tell me to actually add a couple of more sentences about, I don't know, about Tommy, about what it did to me and about where I want to take it. And then I understand it goes into my mind. I mean, it's not a totally new concept, but I have never before. But now I actually, it sank in. So now I know it. So now I own it. And
Yeah.
a lot of stuff like this. So I actually feel with every post that I send you that I'm getting better, and I'm honestly like very, very grateful.
That's awesome. I would agree. And I think I'm really glad for that feedback. I would say my observation of, I've been doing this over a year now. I've definitely gotten better at kind of spotting the levers for people, I think. And what I notice is people who do this regularly, if they're taking in, the inputs, the improvement is pretty quick. Like it doesn't take months to get this stuff. It's like once you know the
True,
framework,
it doesn't. Yes, yeah.
you know what the little steps are, you know what to look for, and you can kind of work backwards from them. It makes it pretty easy, and it's awesome to see, because I would say, yeah, your content it does seem like you've got it pretty well down to me. So I love it.
So I'm the slug in the room.
That's me. I don't think so.
I in that I haven't executed much at all on content, so my intent is to get better at that, and I'll be shuffling stuff over to you, Todd, to review. I'm kind of changing lanes a little bit, but I do have some content that I want to put out.
Good. If you could say like the one thing that's holding you back from execution, is there one thing that you could point to?
It probably comes down primarily to time management, prioritization, right?
Yep,
Just
makes sense.
letting the day-to-day stuff overwhelm my intended time,
Yeah, and would you say that, like, on the scale of, I guess we'll go with hate, like, love, where do you fall for writing?
I'm in the like/love.
Okay.
I don't have a anonymity towards writing. I actually I write so maybe this is kind of, I write a lot all day. I write awards, right? uh I write technical documents. I write um uh, you know work documents.
Yeah.
I write. And so I don't have don't have an aversion to writing. I guess maybe by the end of the day, I'm a little frazzled at writing.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That's actually good insight. And I was really just asking because if you don't like it, that's one thing that'll be a little harder for me personally to address. Um, and it's fine. Like not everybody loves writing. Like that's just the way it goes. I was just curious, but I will tell you, if you want to prioritize it, my legitimate secret to success, if there was any, was a couple years ago. I think it was 21, January of 21. Maybe started in December, but for sure in January. I knew I liked writing. I thought lots of people said I was pretty good at it, but I wasn't. Just wasn't quite getting it done, you know. And long story short, I just decided that I didn't want personally. I didn't want to be the guy spending 1,000 conversations in Messenger. Like that just wasn't going to be my best path forward. Um, and so I was like, I'm going to get good at writing. I started getting up every day at 5 a.m. and I gave myself exactly 60 minutes. Whatever happened, happened. And I did that for, I don't know, 16 months probably. And, it really helped me. And then who knows? I can't remember what took me out of it, but I got tired of going to bed at 9 p.m. I couldn't really do that because my kids don't even go to bed that early all the time now. And I think that was kind of part of why I just got tired of getting up at 5. But, I loved it. It was the most amazing thing. I would go down. It was quiet in the house, no obligations. I would open nothing but my Spark file document and Hemingway app, and I would turn on Pandora to focus music, and it was like I still think like makes me giddy just thinking about it. Like I need to go back to that, except I don't want to get up at 5. But anyway, that might be something you could try. Like you don't have to commit to it for the rest of your life. Like find a day or two where you could do that. And the other thing is just do it once on a weekend even or something. Oh, don't let me forget. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. Like that just might be a way to get you through. And then I have another point to mention in a second. But,
yeah. So that is my intention. I'm the early riser in the house, and typically the weekends are my space, right? I can grab a couple hours in the morning.
yeah.
A lot of times I get um and I think we talked about this the other day. I get sucked into uh you know rolling through my scroll, right, through the Facebook scroll. So I've got the news feed eradicator that I can turn it on for 10 minutes, and when blip it all goes away, then I'll be like, do I really want to set it for another couple minutes? Nah, let's get stuff done. So that's a pretty good that's a really nice tool, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this may be in the weeds, but like I use Chrome, but I'm sure you could do it on any other browser. I had a folder of the 3 or 4 writing. Actually, I had my start pages set. I can't remember. I did both. I haven't. I changed the setup since then, so I got rid of the folder. But I had a folder. You can right click, open all tabs, and it was like I said, it was my Spark file, it was Hemingway, and it was Pandora. So you just had those 3 things. So there is no Facebook in that world, right? Like I didn't even open it up the browser, and it was just that's how I started my day. Because I'm same as you. I mean, I'd look at email or something and then forget who I was by 3 minutes later.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, that happens to me lots of times. I'll in that having that timer, it's like, oh my God, that was 10 minutes. I mean, wow, right?
Yeah.
With the
And
with the
actually, that's a
eradicator.
good one. Sorry, but that's a good one too for writing. Like if finding an hour is hard. I actually I think when I started, I was actually doing 30 minutes because I think I started by journaling by hand. I was just kind of doing a little recap of the day or plans for the current day. So I did 30 minutes for a while, and then I got to the point where my writing took me about 30 minutes, but then the whole process of posting took me another, little bit, because I would deal with the picture, whatever image was going in. Sometimes there's formatting of special stuff that added a few minutes, but either way, setting a timer on writing is kind of a good idea, I would say, um, for two reasons. One is, like, if you want more, great, you could always do more, but um, but it kind of gives you a cadence. I feel like if you do 30 or 60 minutes, you don't have all day to sit there and second guess yourself. It's kind of like you got to sort of just get it out and do the writing. One other thing from a what's the word, productivity, I guess, angle. Do you guys know who Sean Anthony is? I didn't either. I feel like
I would say some. I'm thinking of Mark Anthony, a singer or something like that. No, I don't.
Sean is a marketer. He started off in like ecom, and I think he was. I was on, like, I think I mentioned before, a Jacob Karras Inner Circle call with him. So Jacob's in with Travis Sago, who's like a big name you may or may not have heard, but Sean Anthony was in his group. So Jacob's been doing some of this connecting people's audiences, which is also something you guys could think about if you have your groups going. Guest personalities are a nice way to cross-pollinate and just have, create some assets in your group if you're doing that. Anyway, this guy Sean Anthony had a really compelling story for me. It was interesting. He loves writing too. He thinks of himself as a copywriter first, but he did like ecom, and now I think he's saying, I'm looking at my notes here, I don't see it, but I think he's sort of saying he's got like a one-man 7-figure operation. That's what he teaches. But anyway, so his thing with content was pretty cool, and I'm going to butcher it here, but the basic concept was he creates one piece of long form content each week and then parses it out. He uses other platforms, so he's on YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'm not advocating you all go there necessarily today, but he had a process where he would do, I think he called it Friday Fire, which was like his long form, pretty informative content. It's like, here's what's worked for me doing X, Y, or Z. So he'd have a long form post. It would lands on his blog, goes on his Facebook profile. It comes in an email, but then he's got a whole cycle around that where he spends the week leading up to it with emails teasing it. So he does shorter emails speaking to this longer message. He calls those episodes, then clips, shorter pieces. So he'll post. He'll afterwards he'll follow up with some shorter emails. Oh, my bad, I did that backwards. He's got trailers that are the previews that are started in the email beforehand. He does the long thing, and then he'll follow up a day or two with recaps basically, and say, if you missed it, go to my blog, go to the YouTube, if that's where whatever your preferred thing is. He does that, and really what I'm getting at is the way he says it is it takes him 3 hours a week to do a week's worth of content. It's something you all could think about. I never liked the idea of batching my content for a week. I tried that a few times, and first of all, if it takes me an hour to put a post together, I never had like 5 hours to sit down and write. I didn't have the energy to write quality stuff over a multiple hour period of time anyway. Like 30 to 60 minutes was better for me to begin with. But I appreciate the concept, certainly. Like, for people who can do it, it's probably good to batch your activity. But I like this idea a lot in terms of getting leverage and reducing the burden on yourself to get more content. And it's really like what I started with you, Anna. It's a version of that same thing where it's like, one of your posts is going to be a recap of all your wins, and here are 3 things that went into it. Like, I love that format, and I do that a lot, or at least I think of that a lot these days as a good way to go. Where if you've got three things that lead up to a conclusion, it's nice to take people on that journey. Like, don't give it all away at the beginning. If you're really good, you can tease people with the first one. Hey, here's what's coming next. Here's what's coming next. You can kind of leave some open loops there to hook them for the next one. Those are good writing practices. So anyway, that's it. I was just thinking, Darren, that might be useful concept for you, like to take your weekend hour or two to do the thing, and then maybe you could spend less time throughout the week chopping it up a little bit.
Yeah, my little bit of struggle on relating, I guess, or making I've got a billion stories, right? But doing that story relation into a business relation, or relating the story to a business adventure or whatever. And so I actually this past week, mini win from, well, win-ish. I had an interview face to face with the county client that I'm cultivating, right? So I've decided to coach her for free, like personally coach her in setting up her calendar and her schedule and getting control of her time, and working out her main goals, and breaking that all the way down to weekly action plans and all this, right? And so she's very responsive, which is super cool, and that's really feeling great. So I'm gonna use, I'm basically gonna take my audience along for the ride, right? As I hope there's not too much background noise here.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Um, so I plan to do my content posts around what's going on, right? To take them for the ride along with what I'm doing in the background and what the results are, right? What I do in the background, what the results are, and just I think that's going to be fun, and I think it's going to be easy content, right? For me.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. I fully support that. It's kind of the variation of behind the scenes that I'm talking about. Take people along on your journey and let them see what's going on. I think that's. I honestly, I don't. It might not be for everyone. I can't imagine why not, though. I can't imagine who that doesn't work for. Only somebody who
Yeah.
wants flashiness or something like. But I just always find that really interesting, real world stuff. Again, it lets people know how you think, how you act. The consistency again is part of it. If you can deliver there, like, I love it. So that should be good, and it should be easy.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
I must say, if I look at Alan's videos, he's reels every day. I like that. It is interesting to me the way he's always, it's like he's got a theme of being outside, like sporty sort of thing. Yeah, I like and it's like he's real life. He's genuine, and Darren, the same as you. I mean, I think if you were doing that things, people would be. It's interesting to see what you do, and because there's a guy a YouTube channel that I've been following for like 10 years, and I watch the guy because he's sort of like a personality, and I've seen how he's changed over the years. So yeah.
Awesome. That's good. I think honestly, I've never done a reel. So that's how behind the Facebook times I am. But I think the cool thing about those, if you're kind of struggling with content, is I mean, I don't know how much effort he puts into like preparing for that stuff, but like you were just saying, like real life, just showing what's going on. And the cool thing about reels is they put time constraints on you by definition, right? Like I think they're 30 seconds. Is that the
I've got my
It's 1 minute. 1 minute. It can go up to 1 minute.
I've got my daily video sometimes with the cows behind me or the farm animals, and well, I just say good morning to everybody, and then I can see the people watching the videos. Always it's about 30, between 35 and 55 people always watch the same, and I always try to post the video at the same time, more or less at the same time. And another thing, if you don't know it, if you use WhatsApp, if you post something on WhatsApp in your status, you can see everybody that's watching you. And if you also same thing, you post in the same time, and you can even start posting your business or a short video about what you do in your WhatsApp status. You never know. There might be a gold mine. Somebody might be looking for one of your personal contacts. Might not even know what you do, and they might be looking for what you are, what you have got, what you are offering. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Grove, quick question for you.
It's a good idea for a business mobile. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Anna. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say quickly, it's a good idea for the business mobile. I mean, if you have one person number, then you can use the business number to do this. But in my case, I don't really use my phone number. I don't give it away. I just use it for my private, communications. So for me, it's not really an option, but I can see how it can be better.
No, I've over the years, every single person that's ever phoned me since 2012, I got their phone number. So I've got about, and what I usually did was in the past was, or what I still do is, somebody phones me, take their phone number, send them a WhatsApp, what they call about, and then like if a person called me yesterday, and while the phone was ringing, just type in, and I could see what they were about, and they said, yes, you can remember very well, and how do you know? And they're so surprised. But anyway, this just could call it useless info.
No, that's a really positive impression though, because people that makes them feel like, damn, I'm important enough to this person that he remembers that stuff, right? So that's a really, really good tactic, Grove.
Thank you.
Hey, so I wanted to ask you, have you ever considered, and maybe it's because your audience, do you have a English speaking audience at all?
No.
Have you considered doing any? Okay.
I'd
love to understand what you're saying.
Okay, I'm going to say to you, what I'm saying is I'm greeting.
Yes, I am with 100%. I have to agree with him because, like, seriously, you get me hooked in the beginning when you go like "Good morning, dobro utro," tralala in many different languages, and then I'm always hoping to be the best of it, and then you go to some totally foreign language where I don't understand a word of it. I guess it's Afrikaans.
But it just sounds like probably. I would. Yes. Okay. I have considered it. I've done it once or twice or three times in English, and then before I know it, I'm back in my old habits. Old habits die hard. But for you, Anna, I'll mention it in my. I'll do it for you. And for you, Darren, and for you, Todd, if you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think just along the lines of expansion, there may be people. I mean, there's rich people everywhere, right? That might want a piece of property in South Africa, that may be interested in following you as a, as the celebrity you're growing into.
I was just initially, I'm just doing it sort of for fun, sort of, and it's a next step for me to say something about something about my offer. It could be I don't know. It just I'm doing the videos for so long, but just saying my offer is something it's a mindset it's a mindset shift something for me.
Yeah, I think that's something I notice as a recurring theme with almost everybody who comes into the program, and I went through it myself. Like, um, you know, we it's kind of that humility thing is combined with like nobody wants to be a sleazy salesman or whatever, right? Like, it's hard to get over that, but I think there's a way to reframe it all, which is, you know, your offer should be solving a problem that you believe is valuable. I mean, otherwise you're wasting everybody's time if you don't believe it's valuable. So if you believe that, then all you're doing is giving people the opportunity to choose your solution. I mean, it's it's that simple, and you just got to find a way. And honestly, I would encourage you to make sure you make the same amount of effort in your writing to do that same thing, so that you can then just translate it into your speaking. Because, you know, to me, like, you could pretty much take that little bio blurb that we talked about a couple of calls ago, you know, however you landed and tweaked it, you could end every message like that. Like, hey, I help people, you know, improve their closing rate or whatever it is on, you know, find your dream farm, whatever thing it is you want. If this is something that interests you, I love to talk about it. Let me know. The end. There's nothing crazy about that. It doesn't make you a used car salesman or anything, right? It's just you need to put your offer out to the world in order for it to be accepted, right?
Cool. Thank you. It's good to hear it. Good to hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I can gather, your videos are solid. You've got a nice presence on there. Like, you've got some history. You know, like, I think it'd be easy, and probably will be awkward at first, but it's like everything else. Once you get it out of your mouth or out of your, you know, writing a few times, you'll be like, oh, just part of the framework. It's something I have to do. And I would say that, you know, Blake and I are working on some new things, and the number one, like, we've basically decided the number one metric for people is how many offers have you made. There's a lot of other metrics that go into getting there, but you can't sell something if you haven't made an offer, right? So it's like that's the one you really want to drive towards.
I must say, I had one this week. I had a confirmation of a property of a, let's say, cattle ranch, as you would call it there in the US, from one of my videos, but it's actually somebody else. It felt like I was doing nothing. It felt like I was doing nothing. I was here at home. I didn't even go to. I went to make the video and drove the long way and everything, and spent the time, and it was about a year ago, and now somebody else did the sale, and I'm getting like a part of the commission, and it just feels like I haven't done anything. It feels so strange to get money for doing nothing.
Oh,
That's
man.
the best kind of business, man.
But it's it's always, you say, it's always, and I'm thinking, this is once again material for a post about how you can, you've put in the work for 3 or 4 years, and then you do something, and then you didn't know happening and all that. So it's all rephrasing that into a story.
Do that for sure. That's a win, right? Like, that's the stuff I was talking about at the beginning.
Yep.
Be sure to get that out there. Share it for your own sake, for the current audience sake, for your future audience. Like, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Have you all heard? You probably all heard some version of this, and I got to make sure I kind of say it right. I'm not so good at remembering like stories and jokes verbally, but there's some story of like plumbing doesn't work in the house. The guy tries to fix it for a whole weekend, can't do it. Spends his whole weekend, loses weekend. Plumber comes over, taps on the pipe twice, says that'll be $200. Guy's like, what do you mean? It took you 5 minutes and you just tapped on the pipe twice. And he's like, "You're paying me for the years of practice that where I learned where to tap the pipe and how hard, basically, whatever." And I kind of butchered it. I'm sure there's a better way to tell that, but you get the point. And I think, I don't know that I'd use the word dangerous, but I would be careful with your language around this, saying you did nothing, because you did a lot of things to put you, in the process. And like you said, all the time you spent prior to this, adding value, connecting people, being out there doing the thing. Like, that's exactly how it works. And the last thing I'll say on it, I've noticed in social media marketing in particular, at least with the audience that I had, my window of like cold to close was no less than 4 weeks, and was probably more like 8 weeks on average. So whatever I do over here, paid results over here. And if you get these results and then you let off the gas of all the things that you were doing that got you there, you keep riding this roller coaster. And that's a different topic, but I feel like, I want to make sure you understand that you didn't do nothing. You did stuff to earn that. So
Yeah, it feels almost now feels like I did nothing, but I'm very happy about it. I feel it's a good feeling from the long time it paid off. It's
yeah, good.
And you do look like a cat who ate see the feathers around your mouth.
Thank you.
Andy's got a yellow shirt on.
Yeah, I had my nice shirt. I call it a MAM, middle-aged man shirt on and everything, and I'm gonna jump in the pool in a few minutes after we finished. Yeah, so.
Oh, that's awesome. It's not that warm here, unfortunately, but good for you.
Thank you.
That's great. I got to jump here in a couple minutes. Anybody else? Any other thoughts, comments, wins, challenges?
I'll speak to you, send you something
No, just
soon,
thank
and
everyone for being here.
thank Anna and Darren for being here. It's always good to hear you. As I always say, I'm here to listen to what you've got to say.
Yeah, no, man, I love it too. So, am I going to see you guys tomorrow morning? Anna, you haven't shown up on our Saturday gig.
Well, can you give me some time? I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. It starts basically 8:15.
Okay, Grove,
I think it's 2 p.m. your time. It's
2 p.m. Okay. If I have this thing in my mind, then it's easier, because last time I only like, yo, here is the link to jump in. I'm like, what? So 2 p.m. my time, Grove, yes? It's 1 p.m. your time.
Yeah, 2 p.m. your time.
Okay, sure.
All right, guys.
Okay, great.
Knock it out of the park.
Thanks,
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Cheers,
guys.
bye.
Ciao,
Bye.
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 You too.
Bye.
Cheers.